everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Conversation series. I am so incredibly excited because I have Angie Martinez-Tejada with us today, and I am a huge fan of her work. And I'm going to let her introduce herself, tell you what she does, all of that good stuff.
So, hi everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Angie Martinez-Tejada, and I am basically it's so funny because I consider myself a slashy. Like I delve into so many different things that I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But I am predominantly a fashion writer. So I love to create content, specifically content writing, whether that be via a blog post, whether that be for a publication, and hopefully at some point print publication, if print print work stays and we still have printed magazines, which I really hope we do, hopefully one day there. But aside from content writing and freelance writing, I create content on social media. So my handle is at Angie Martinez-Tejada. And basically I create fashion videos and beauty videos and sometimes lifestyle videos, but it's been a little while because of the whole climate. So I'm like, I really need to, I'm sitting on content and I'm like, I need to edit this. So in essence, that's who I am. I would say I'm a content creator slash writer, slash kind of like a publicist, sort of. But we're working on that.
Something cool because I don't know if you know this about me. I went to ECU for 2 years.
Oh, awesome. I thought you looked familiar, but I couldn't remember.
Yes, I was there for 2 years and then transferred to NC State.
Okay, what year were you there?
2015.
Okay, cool. That's when I was there. I transferred to go.
Yeah. Go Pirates. Still has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, for sure.
What did you get your degree in from ECU?
So from ECU, I got my degree in fashion, merchandising, and consumer studies with a minor in communication studies. And then from FIT, I got my associate's degree in fashion business management.
All the fashion.
All the fashion. I just knew, like, when I was, I'm lucky enough to have known, I will, admit that, but when I was, like, applying for majors and thinking about what I wanted to do at, like, 17, 18, which is, like, kind of ridiculous, but luckily I was fortunate enough to know, like, dude, if I'm going to spend all this money on an education and do it for the rest of my life, I want to love it. Like, so, I mean, luckily I love it, and I know that's what I want to do.
Yeah. I love the fashion industry because I think it's such an ever-changing industry. It's constantly evolving. And I think that creativity is so strong in the fashion industry that it's just, like I said, never ending.
For sure. Yeah. When it comes to creativity and when it comes to self-expression, those are my two favorite things about the fashion industry. Like, I just love it. I'm so passionate about it. Like, I could literally talk about it forever, but I'll dial it back.
Well, we'll jump into that real quick. What are your favorite fashion trends?
Oh my gosh. That is such a good question because I think that when you think of trends, they're very of the moment, right? So of the moment trends that I love are hard to adapt because of the current, if you were asking me this last year, I would be able to tell you, like, I love pops of color and I love the print, but because everyone's kind of at home, the trends that are emerging right now are like, matching athletic sets, like cute joggers, which I'm all about, but I'm such an expressive and like razzle dazzle that I'm like, man, like I want to wear, a two-piece dress, but where am I going to wear that to? So if we're speaking about things that I love, maybe like fashion elements, aside from like of the moment trends, I consider my style kind of like a mixture of really girly, but with a slice of edge, So I can't necessarily say girly, like you'll see me wearing a whole bunch of like flowers and like, but I am girly in terms that I love dresses, I love skirts, I love heels, but at the same time, like I love my sneakers, and I literally have been dressing myself in my dad's clothes since I was like in middle school. Very so cool. That same like kind of edge to it, I love.
Yeah, and it kind of wraps your style up too. I totally agree with you. It's like the tie-dyed matching sets and the loungewear, and that is like what everybody is wearing right now.
Yes, yes,
And
for
I'm
sure.
the same way. I'm like, I like it, but I'm like, I can't, like, I feel like I can't pull it off, and it's not my style.
Right. And that's very true. Like luckily there's a lot of different like athleisure brands that are coming out with like different kinds of athletic styles.
Yeah.
I like it to be comfortable or to go, I don't feel like dressing up, but I want to be cute. Let me throw on like this cute little sporty look, but I want to wear my dresses. Like, can I wear some heels? It's
Yeah.
crazy we're talking about that actually because I was just thinking like I should probably put on a pair of heels and like remind my head how to walk in
Yeah.
them because it's been months.
I think it's just the climate of the world right now. I mean, I'm like you, I so badly just want to go and put on a dress. Like I have nice clothes. I'm like, but where am I going to wear it to?
Yeah,
Like,
and excuse me, you know what? You've almost sparked, not almost actually. I'm going on record to give you your credits because you just like sparked an idea in me, and I think I'm gonna do like you heard it here first. I think I'm gonna do like some kind of social experiment where I get dressed the heck up in heels, and I'm going to Harris Teeter. You
there
know
you
what?
go.
Like why not? Like, why do I have to go somewhere? I'm gonna go to my doctor's appointment and
Why,
like,
yeah, why do you have to go where somewhere
you
fancy,
know,
be dressed fancy?
right. So I'm gonna thank you for the content idea.
Who are your idols in the industry that you look up to?
Oh my gosh, that's kind of a hard question because I look up to both people who are like really aspirational, but also people who I have like a connection to or that I can actually like reach out to. So it's kind of hard to answer because for such a long time, I really looked up to Anna Wintour just
Yes.
because she's like head of like fashion, bro. Like if you think
Yeah.
of fashion, you think of Anna
In
Wintour.
Wintour, yeah.
Oh, and so it's so sad to see, the recent like light of events towards like racism that they have within, just the magazine. So it's kind of like no, not
Yeah. You just
no,
hate it. You hate to see it because she
yeah.
is such a figure in the fashion world.
I mean, and no offense, like she doesn't have the best reputation.
Right.
If you think of like Devil Wears Prada, but it's still like Anna
Yes.
Wintour, like she's
Yeah.
the editor in chief of freaking Vogue.
Absolutely.
Um, so but I still look up to her in terms of what she's achieved, not
Yeah.
only like in the industry but within her career as a woman. So I do have to list her. I freaking love Rihanna. Her style is like she's like my soulmate.
She's an icon.
She is great. So I
Yeah.
love Rihanna's style. Within the industry, I love Balmain. So
Okay.
Olivier Roosting is my favorite designer.
Yeah.
He just speaks to my soul. Like I'm extra and I'm like
Yeah.
effervescent. And it's like he just knows how to bring luxury and like glam, and I
Yeah.
die for it.
I want to know like one of his like how heavy it actually is. Like it just, I mean, it's like I
Yeah,
just
it's
know.
crazy. There was a Balmain exhibit at FIT because FIT has a famous museum. Oh my gosh, and I was so happy to be able to visit it. And they had Kim Kardashian, like a dress
Yeah.
that she wore on the runway. I can't remember what event it was, but it was a Balmain dress, and they had it on display. And I was like, oh
Like, oh
my
my,
gosh, wow! Like that, the haute couture
yeah.
literally just fascinates me. Like I think one of my biggest goals is to be in Paris and be in those high ateliers. Like
Yes.
that's just the ultimate like
Yes.
fashion, honey.
That would make my fashion heart so happy. Like I
Right?
just being able, I don't even like, I would love to wear it, but just to be able to see how they make
Yeah,
everything, the
yeah,
process, like
right.
I would die. I
It's
really would.
artwork, it's
Absolutely.
artwork. So
It's artwork you can wear. I think that's the best part about it.
right, right. It's beautiful.
We can tell already how happy fashion makes you. What I mean, can you put into words what fashion means to you?
Yes. And I'm so happy you asked that because it's really the underlying like purpose for it, like my motivation and really what I want to obtain in life. And so the reason why I love fashion so much is because it's like self-expression. So it's aside from artwork, which we already spoke about, and like really seeing what a designer's thoughts were when creating this piece, right? I love that. But I
Yeah.
also love that when you're getting dressed, um, you're expressing how you feel for that day, right?
Okay.
And for me specifically, it's like if there's such a correlation, you can tell exactly how I feel
Yeah.
by what I'm wearing, you know? So if you see me in my like joggers and my hoodie little combo with sneakers,
Yeah.
like I just feel like being comfortable today. And if you see me in like today I'm wearing like a dress and it's super flowy with
Yeah.
fringe, I feel free spirited today. So I love the fact that I can express myself. I love the fact that it can alter my psychology. So, like we
Really.
were talking about before, like I still was getting dressed, even working from home, because I was like, dude, like, like this, I feel like I'm always in relax mode if I'm, wearing no bra, let's face it, and a t-shirt and my hair's not done. Like, so I want to lay in bed,
Yeah.
So I have to like
Yeah.
really. Some people even say like putting on shoes actually has a psychological effect on your productivity,
I've heard
which
that.
yeah, which is like how. So
Yeah.
the psychology behind your dress is something that literally fascinates me. And then lastly, I would probably say the marker that it is in time, in history,
Yeah.
right? So you've got your history books that tell about different eras and about different
Right.
social movements, and you've got your music that does the same thing. But such a huge part of fashion is literally
Yeah.
storytelling based on the era. So,
Yes.
for example, if you're talking about like the 1960s, you'll see that hippie movement, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of free spirit and they were protesting the war in Vietnam. So it was, and you'll see that in the
Yep.
hippie dress. So
Yes.
I just think it's really cool how like
Yeah.
society really integrates with dress and how fashion is a representation of
Yeah.
that.
I love to say it sets kind of like my intentions for the day. It
100%.
sets kind of like if I'm dressing nicely, it's kind of like setting, okay, I'm going to have a good day. It's going to be a happy day. It's kind of having that positive attitude and mind to start the day. That's how I like love
Yeah,
about it.
for sure. It's very psychological, and
Yeah.
that's really what makes me so happy because I'm like, yay! Like if I'm not having a good day, let me put on this cute outfit that makes me
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
powerful, or like there's so many feelings you can feel just with an
Yeah.
outfit. So
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, so we have to dive into your blog because it is like I love talking about other people's blogs because your blog represents who you are
Right.
and it kind of shows who you are. And so your blog is Style Me Ange. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Just kind of what you talk about, how it's set up.
Of course. So my little baby, I started Style Me Ange as a Marty Style, which is like such a bad name. But it had a cool meaning in my head. But when you're building like a brand, you're like, dude, can people even pronounce this? So it just came to me one day. I was like, Style Me Ange, because like so many people in my life were like, can you help me choose an outfit? Can you help me choose an outfit? Hey, I don't know what to wear. I have this coming off. And so I was like, people are always asking me like, hey, Ange, style me. And so it's just like, style me, Ange. So I was like, this is genius. So I made it my Instagram handle. And it's so funny how, like, for me personally, like changing my Instagram handle completely, I'm rebranding all the time.
Yeah.
And so when I made Style Me Ange, I was like, okay, great. Like, I have this platform where it's easy to just post my outfit of the day on my Instagram stories, but there's no longevity. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of like placing a whole bunch of effort creating these videos and doing all this stuff for it to live on Instagram. And
Right.
one time I think Instagram had like a crazy crash. And I was like, oh no. I was like, no way. Because if Instagram wants to go away, they take all my hard work with them. No. No.
Absolutely.
So I created Style Me Ange as really it was because when I I always knew I wanted to be in fashion, literally since I was a little girl. But there are so many different avenues and career, you know, areas that you can delve into that I've just been like really experimenting and figuring out what I like and what I don't like, and I still am. So I thought that I wanted to be a stylist because I always knew I did not want to be a designer.
Yeah.
Off rip, I was like, I don't want to design. I love fashion and I love art, but I don't want to like create it from scratch, you know?
Right.
Like I want to take
Right.
the things that inspire me and the things that other people created and tell a story essentially. And so I was like, I want to be a stylist. Like I want to style whatever. And so there's so many different avenues of styling that I was like, let me just create my website. And then that way I'm just starting to give ideas. I was like, interning with a stylist and we were doing editorial shoots, and then I started to try to venture into basically Style Me Ange was like a styling business. So Style Me Ange, the website, was almost like a way to build my credibility but to also showcase my clients.
Yeah.
That didn't really work out very well because usually when you're doing like a consultation with a client, they don't really want to take pictures,
Right.
so you can't really showcase your work because 9 times out of 10, the client, whenever they're at their event, isn't worried about, let me take a picture for Angie's website, you know?
Right.
So I was losing a lot of like the purpose, the original intent of Style Me Ange, which was to show like my work. And so it started to merge into, I was like, I want to write about fashion and I want to, because I was getting so many questions about, oh, how do you style like, you know, a mock neck top, or how do you, I could never wear that. And I was like, no, but you can. So
Yeah.
it was kind of just, you know, to wrap up, a way for me to show people how they can, you know, wear certain trends or shop for their body type. Basically, like me creating information for people who looked up to my style or who because a lot of people were asking me. So
Right.
it's like, let me just redirect you to my website.
I think it's kind of gives people a place where they can, like, I get it all the time. Oh, I can't pull this off, and I'm like, but you can do it with your own style. You can do it
Right,
with
right.
your own favorite accessories, or you can do it with your shoes or whatever it may be. And
Yeah,
I think, like, as long as you show, as long as you present to people like the basics of what you need, you're golden.
100%. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the biggest question I have about your blog, what I know you are such a planner, you are a creative person, you manifest so many things. Where do you want to take your Style Me Ange?
Wow. That question hits the soul because I am deeply rooted in the transformation of my brand right now. So essentially, Style Me Ange is going to be completely rebranded. And it already started with my Instagram. Like I said, it always starts
Yeah.
with my handle. And so the reason why I'm actually deviating from my page, because I love that at name. Like Style
Yeah.
Me is catchy. So I'm like,
Yeah.
dang it, I let go of that. So I'm just going to rebrand Style Me Ange into Angie Martinez-Tejada, which
Okay.
is just who I am as a person. And the reason for that being is because I felt like Style Me Ange was kind of putting me in a box of I'm a stylist, right? And so
Right.
as I'm deviating and just experiencing life and experiencing the industry real time, because I only graduated college in December 2018. So I've been out of college a year and a half, you know, and I think that while I'm a big proponent of college, I think that you really understand your industry and your field when you're in the field, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that as I've been in the field, I've kind of realized like I don't really want to style people. Not for nothing. Fashion is such a, as you can see, passionate part of my life that I feel like when I put my creativity in that, you know, and I have to cater to someone else who might not agree or who might have a different style, or
Right.
I feel like I'm almost limiting because you have to essentially make your service when you provide a service, you are delivering what your client wants, right? And not that I can't work with my client, but a lot of the times people don't necessarily share the same perspective or taste or style, or don't see the vision, or don't have the confidence, whatever the case may be. So I was like, man, like I like helping people, but I don't really want to put my passion in the hands of someone else.
Right.
And so just as I, with Style Manage the blog, as I realized that, man, I love writing, I love creating content. I just don't want to provide the service of like, let me go into your house and choose your outfit, but I'll provide the information, I'll provide the
Right.
stories, I'll provide the, inspiration. And so as I started blog writing for Style Me Ange, I was like, you know what? I really love writing, and I've always loved writing, and I love creating this content. I love communicating, and I love telling stories. So that's when I realized, especially after working for Pure Wild, that I loved editorial writing and I love content writing. And so Angie Martinez-Tejada as a brand, as a website, is going to be like my personal hub where you can go to understand all the work that I've written, not only for myself, so I'll still have an element in the website. Excuse me. Within the website, I'll still have an element where I'm writing my original work and just like, the blog, but the website as a whole won't be just a blog. It'll basically be a collaborative, and like basically my online writing portfolio. Like,
Oh,
here's what I've written for, aspirationally speaking. I've written these articles for Vogue. I've written this
yeah.
for Elle. And then you'll have another section where it's just like my blog. Like, here's just free game, free information. And then another, section for here video content that I've done. So
Right.
making it more of an all-inclusive one-stop shop for all things fashion, beauty, lifestyle. Because that's another limitation that I felt with Style Me Ange, where it was like, I love fashion, but I want to talk about
Right.
beauty too. So that's my end goal.
Well, and I have that conversation, but in terms of like my YouTube channel, people ask me all the time, what is your YouTube channel about? And I'm like, I do everything. I
Mm-hmm.
don't hold myself to one thing because I think if you hold yourself to one thing, you're stopping yourself from creatively journeying into something you may have not known you were meant to be in, but you've stumbled into it and absolutely love it. Um,
Right, right.
so like I do food, I do sports, I show off my friends and family, I do travel. Like I don't like holding myself to one
100%.
thing. So I think
Yeah,
it's and I love that on your blog that you do have your editorial pieces because I don't think a whole lot of bloggers do that
right.
because they think that the work on their blog should just be that, but I think you're showing off you're showing off all of your work.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I think the reason for that is because I think there's a growing distinction between, and it might not be growing, it might already be established,
Right.
but between like bloggers and like writers slash editors.
Right.
And I think the only distinction there is when you're a blogger, it's a little bit more casual. You're still creating this content and you're still providing value and still gaining an audience and still getting ad revenue. But I think that when you're a writer slash editor, it's more of a like journalistic approach.
Right.
And so aside from, for example, what I'm trying to say really is like when you're a blogger, it's more so your opinion,
Right.
right? And that's what people, even if you're an influencer or if you're hosting ad, people are paying you because your audience listens to your opinion.
Right.
Whereas when you're a writer slash editor and you're going more into that like full-time role or that scope, and you're writing for publications, you're providing information and you're providing value via a journalistic approach. So for example, let's say that you want to search like the best trends of summer, like you just asked me. You would go into Google and you would search that, and you're probably going to click on the link that says, maybe a reputable site that as opposed to like a blogger you've never heard of.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that that's where I've kind of been trying to make the transition from like, I'm just a blogger or I'm just a content creator. Like, no, this is like, I want to be like a source of information.
Absolutely. Yeah. I truly believe don't hold yourself to one thing because when you do it, just it limits what you can do, but also your mind. Like you
Yeah.
put that expectation in your mind, like, oh, I can't do it. And I
Right, right.
think that's such a hindering process.
100%. And definitely when you try to put yourself in a box or when other people try to put you in a box, like, so what do you do? Like I told you, I do everything. Like, what I do because you see it. So, that's a big part is just like, don't let other people make you feel like you have to define what
Yeah.
you do. Like I follow my passion
Absolutely.
and I document it essentially.
Yeah. So, okay, so you do have a YouTube page that you have started. Um,
Yeah.
you've had it for a year. When we were talking back and forth, do you want to get back into YouTube? What do you want? Okay.
Yeah, I do. And I've always wanted to get into YouTube. I just think that, I have really just put so much on my plate. And I'm like, why do you do that to yourself, Ange? So I think that with my YouTube, it's going like, I just need I knew that I wanted to do it. And with me, I believe more in like, obviously plan. I'm a
Right.
serial planner,
Me too.
but because I've realized that about myself, I also have like, and I listen to motivational speeches and stuff, and it's like, dude, sometimes planning so much is also a hindering thing, because
Absolutely.
you want to perfect it so bad. So I learned that about myself, luckily, a couple of years ago, and I was like, okay, my YouTube, I've been saying I'm gonna do this, so I'm gonna do it, and I was pretty good at like, and I enjoyed making the videos, I enjoyed editing the videos, and like, but it was just so time consuming, and I guess that I just put it on a back burner as I just juggle too many content avenues. Like I'm like, okay, my Instagram and my blog and my full-time job and like my content creation, and I'm trying
Right.
to do work for other brands. So my YouTube just didn't become a priority. But as I'm rebranding and I just think about, luckily, like I really check in with myself. I do self check-ins and I try to remember what the whole purpose is. Why am I doing all of this? So because, COVID has been a blessing, like honestly. So
Yeah.
because the fact that I've been forced to sit the hell down, excuse my language, and like, dude, you can't, like, for me, it was like, okay, Angie, you could either like really make something out of this or
Right.
you can let it crumble you. And so I got laid off from my editorial job. So I was like, okay, like I guess the universe is telling me like you need to hustle and do your thing. So now that I've gotten that clarity and time to sit and be isolated from outside thoughts or
Yeah.
external factors, I know that my purpose is to provide information and to provide value and to provide inspiration. So with that comes my YouTube channel, and I'm like, okay, yes, I'm writing articles and I'm writing blogs and stories, but I like being on camera. I like
Right.
communicating with people. So I need to incorporate YouTube as a vehicle of communication and just like restructure my strategy,
Yeah.
as opposed to, excuse me, using YouTube for like tutorials and stuff. I could probably do that on a different platform that people are more engaged in and use YouTube more long form like this, like interviews and things that people will actually want to be engaged in
Right.
for 10 minutes. Because I realized like, dang, like I don't think people want to listen to me talk or like, watch me change outfits for 15 minutes.
Right.
I like doing that because I live through people. I'm like, yeah, like I literally stay in my room with YouTube on my TV and I'm like, that is so cute.
Yeah.
Like when I watch hauls, but not everyone wants to do
Right.
that. So,
Right.
with my reincorporation of YouTube, it's just going to be more intentional,
Yeah.
and like really treat it as like a channel rather than like a platform, which I was doing before.
Yeah.
And that's why I fell off.
Yeah. And you do use Instagram, like the IGTV a lot. Like you do a lot of really cool small videos that you put out through Instagram.
Right. And I like doing that. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm doing the same thing. I just need to be more just use YouTube for what the audience and the
Right.
consumer is using YouTube for, because I watch YouTube. Like I watch a lot of gosh, YouTube is low-key my professor.
I love
Like
it.
YouTube is like a professor. Like you can learn a lot of skills on there. So I'm
Uh-huh.
like, me as a consumer, I'm using YouTube to learn. So
Right.
me as a creator, I need to teach. Also, I think that for me personally, I just wasn't looking at YouTube as a community.
Yeah.
Um, in the same way that I was looking at Instagram as a community
Absolutely.
and Twitter as a community, even though my Twitter is in shambles. Like I have made and deleted my Twitter at least 3 times in my life because I keep falling prey to the funny stuff
Yeah.
on Twitter and deviating from like the purpose. Like But Twitter is so funny. Anyway, but YouTube is a community, so I think that I wasn't fostering the YouTube community. It was just like, oh guys, I have a YouTube video, go watch it on my Instagram. But
Right.
within YouTube, I wasn't like, finding other YouTubers and collaborating with them. So I think
Right.
that, that all takes a lot of time and energy, and I just need to reallocate it in the right places.
Yeah. I think if anybody can do it, you especially can, because I just think you have like the creativity and like the total energy to just do it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Coming soon. 2021. That's far. It needs to be posted.
But I feel like at this pace, 2020 just needs to like it's
It's a
flying
plan. Yeah.
by. It's we are at a whole nother level with 2020.
Right, right.
I want to talk about your work experience because we've talked about it a little bit, and I'm gonna read off what you've done from my notes
Okay.
because you have like, and it's been a 4-year span, and more of it's been in 2 years, which I think is like even more incredible.
Wow, thank you. That's like really flattering to hear because I don't think about it like that. I'm like, it's been 2 years.
But I mean, the things that you've done are pretty like you've just continued to grow and continue to get into different facets of the fashion industry in terms of the content creation and like writing.
Right, right.
Okay, so this first one, I'm going to try to pronounce the name correctly. You're a digital marketing coordinator at Acme Pong Enterprises.
It's hard. At Chimpong.
At Chimpong.
Yeah.
You're an influencer community and campaign assistant at Born Majestic. You're an editorial assistant at Pure Wow. You're an e-commerce product coordinator with Versona, which love Versona and their company. You are an assistant stylist and a wardrobe stylist with Stacy Michelle, and you are a social media marketing intern at Elise Collective.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And like what people don't know is like 2 years was a good chunk of all of that happening.
Yeah, I guess it was. Crazy. I am insane. Like, that's crazy.
When like out of all of that, like what has it taught you?
You know what? It's taught me a lot. Honestly, it's taught me from the beginning that if you want something, it's not gonna get handed to you.
You're gonna grind.
And if you have that privilege, cool.
Right.
But the fact that the hustle, the journey to get whatever it is you want and said you were gonna do, that is where the beauty is, because I literally started from nothing, and I still think I'm like starting from the bottom. Now we're here. Like, I don't think I made it at all, because I have so much more that I want to obtain. But yeah, it's taught me that you gotta go for it, regardless of anything. Like, regardless of the money, regardless of the location, regardless of who you don't know, regardless of if you're scared, regardless. Like, if you don't go for it, it's never gonna happen.
Absolutely.
It's taught me that relationships are important, and if you don't know how to maintain a relationship, I mean, like, it's gonna be tough. So relationships are the essence. I would say that I can attribute what I've been able to accomplish so far solely on being able to maintain good relationships, having my work ethic speak for who I am, and being genuine, like just genuinely being a strong, hardworking, and kind person, And then third, being really grateful. Like, there's always something to be grateful for.
Absolutely.
So throughout this whole journey, I've just learned, like, even when things suck, there's still something to be grateful for, because the sad reality is that we all say we want to obtain this and achieve that. But it's like, once you get handed, that's why I say be careful what you wish for, because once you get what you wish for, like,
what you want.
And not only that, but you have to actively remind yourself, like, this is what I wanted. You know what I mean? Like, maybe in the time of me wanting it and wishing for it, I didn't account for the stress or the how expensive or blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I asked the universe, give me this, I want this, and
Yeah.
now I have it. So it's like you have to be grateful for that. So I would say those are probably the three things that it's taught me the most.
Do you have a, like, out of all of your experiences, do you have a favorite experience, like one that was so super fun to do? You do?
Yeah, and it just happened like in February for I'm like in such a dreamy state because I'm like, whoa, that really happened. In February, I got to attend a New York Fashion Week shows
Oh my god.
as like a freaking guest. Like, what? Oh my gosh. Like I still
That's
think about
quite
it and I'm like,
amazing.
yeah, because it wasn't the first time that I participated in New York Fashion Week. When I
Right.
was studying at FIT in 2016, I also interned as I was a fashion assistant
Yeah.
at a PR and showroom agency called Seventh House PR. And because it was a PR agency, they represented various designers, some that I still love, like
Yeah.
Pat Bowe, Patricia Bonaldi,
Yes.
Kendall Miles. Like these are people that I learned about in
Yeah.
that freaking internship, and they're like really cool. But when I was in that internship, I was able to like attend Fashion Week as a PR assistant. Like I was an intern, so you have to. I mean, fashion people, think about how
Yeah.
glamorous it is, but it's a very lucrative industry and it's exhausting. And if you don't love it and
Yeah.
have a lot of passion for it, like
Yeah.
it's easy for you to not want to be in it. So as an intern, it was like, oh my gosh, and it was freaking February. It was snowstorming. I'm talking like 50 feet, and I'm having to get on the train. Like it's
Yeah.
it's kind of dreadful. And you're gonna be there 12 hours and
Yeah.
be backstage and hot and sweaty, and people are yelling and screaming at you. But it's for the love of the game. So if you love it, you're like, yeah. But if you don't love it, you're probably like, bro, like, I don't want to do this. But
I love to say if you love it, you grind for it. Like
you
you
have to, yeah,
grind for it.
right. And so that was my first experience with Fashion Week. But this time around, working for Pure Wow, I like love the fashion director now. Shout out to you, Dina. But she's now the fashion director. But she was so gracious and just like amazing and supportive. And she was like, "Hey, Angie, like, there's because as a fashion editor, you're getting invited to these shows because your
Right.
role at the show is to A, support the designer and support the fashion community, but B, also if you love something and you're a fashion editor, write about it. That's where you see like these shows recapping like a Marc Jacobs or whatever.
Absolutely.
So she was like, "Hey, Angie, like whether a show was just too late or she just because you get so many invitations during
Yeah.
Fashion Week, and she would just transfer them to me, and so I like got to attend Fashion Week as a representative of Pure Wow, and it was surreal.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
it was
Did you have like a huge like fashion moment where you're looking at your closet and like all these creative ideas? You're like, what can I put together to wear?
I'll be honest. My creative moments, my like sparks,
Yeah.
come in two forms. So yes, when I'm getting dressed, like it's so funny you say that because when I was younger, before my mom realized that she had a fashionable daughter, she would be in my room while I was getting dressed, and that's a creative moment for me. Like I'll just look at something and I'm like, why not? Like
Yeah.
I love to mix and match, and essentially like that's where my outfits come out of. Like this is missing something. Like let me see this, and it could be horrible or it could be really cool. And so when I was getting dressed with my mom when I was younger, she'd be like, "You're gonna wear that with that," and I was like, "You need to leave because you're stunting my creativity." But that was like one way that I would have those like aha moments, as if like I was like, "Oh my god, these snake boots with this polka dotted dress might just be really cool." Like I think that I take opportunities that are unorthodox or
Yeah.
ugly. A lot of the times I've bought ugly stuff because I'm like, it's
Huh.
a challenge, I'm like, I wonder how I could make this look good. And so I've been told a lot of times like by family members and friends, like I would never wear it, but I know you're gonna find a way to wear it. And I'm like, I'm glad you know that because that's the goal. Like I want to look at things that people would be like, ew, and then like make people be like, how did you make that look
Yeah.
good? That's my aha moment. Like, aha.
The last thing I want to ask you, I love asking this question to everybody who comes on here. I want to know what what is the ultimate dream of where you want to go, where you want to be?
I love when I get asked that question because it reminds me to think about it. I think my ultimate goal is to um, be a person that other people after me can look at and say like, whoa, like there's representation in that industry. Like here's a Black Latina, which people
Right.
don't even know exists. Like, so it's two different communities. Like it's all right, there's a person of color in a fashion
Right.
industry, but she's also Latina. Like, whoa, so being able to be that, like, in the same way that like Anna Wintour was so inspiring to me and aspirational to me when I was, 10, 11, because she was the top tier of the fashion industry. I want other little girls to look at that, but not have it be someone that looks nothing like them. Like, I want them to be like, oh my God, because you relate, you can't be what you can't see. And
Right.
so when you can see that and it looks like your mom, it looks like your sister, it looks like you can picture yourself being that person. So I just
Absolutely.
want to bridge the gap and just show people that like it doesn't matter, because I got told so much in my life, like fashion,
Right.
like you sure you don't want to do something a little no.
Yeah.
Like I don't. I want to do fashion and I'm going to show you that I'm going to be very successful. So
Right. Prove them wrong.
exactly.
I love when people underestimate me or say I can't do anything because I turn around and I look at them and I'm like, watch me do it.
It's so funny you say that because I was actually having that conversation this morning, and it's like it's the biggest ecstasy. Like,
Yeah.
please
Yeah. Like,
underestimate.
please tell me I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's cool, and it's like tell me I can't, and I'll prove you wrong.
yeah.
It's like I've just adapted that my whole life. Like, tell me I can't,
Yeah.
and it's game on. Like,
Unless
I'll
it's
prove
like
you.
sitting in a box with snakes and I'll look at you and be like, I can't do that.
It's not that I can't. It's that I will not.
Yeah.
Like, I refuse.
There are limits on some things. But yeah, I love when people tell me and I'm like, you're going to be proven wrong and I'm going to love
Like,
you.
watch me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I want to thank you again, Angie, for coming on here and talking. Like, I absolutely loved this and I love your perspective on life and the industry. And so I thank you so much for coming on
Of
here and
course. Thank
talking.
you so much for having me. I
Yes,
had
I
a great
can't wait to see how you rebrand.
Oh,
Just looking.
you're in for a treat.
But I want you guys, all of Angie's socials is going to be linked down below. So I want you guys to go follow her. She posts content all over from fitness to fashion. And I love it. So please go give her a follow. And if you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe down below for more episodes to come. And I will see you guys back here next time.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Have a good day.